been, as I said, in the real estate investment for 17 years. He's built up companies. He's built up massive wealth for himself and for others. And I'm just going to let him take it from there. So I'm going to introduce you to Lee Arnold. Turn the time over to him. Thanks, Steve. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hello. Will you pass those out, Bob? Who does not have something to write with or something to write on? Okay. I need everybody to have, I'm going to be giving you guys a lot of info tonight, which is pretty much worthless if you don't do anything with it. So, and my goal to give you the data is somewhat self-serving in that if I can teach you guys how to find really good deals that you can make a lot of money on, we get to lend you the money to do them. Does that sound like a fair trade? Okay. Before I get started, though, I'm curious, who came the furthest? Anybody come from a long distance?
I'm out of Tacoma.
Out of Tacoma, Mr. Wright. Can anybody?
I was only there for 3 days, so before that I was in Honolulu.
So you were in Honolulu, then Tacoma?
Yeah, on Valentine's Day, you got to spend time with your wife.
Your wife lives in Tacoma?
She lives in Hawaii. So I've got a draw between Washington and Hawaii.
Ah, okay.
So I'm working both markets. And
Whoa.
I need to work with you guys an awful lot.
Okay, good. Tacoma's a good market. We intend to put a Kogo Capital in Tacoma. We just need a competent operator. Is that you?
Absolutely.
Can anybody beat Tacoma? Am I not on? How's that? Can anybody top Tacoma from a distance standpoint? Okay, Mr. Wright, thank you for coming, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being here. All right. Well, who knows the absolute one thing you have to make money in real estate? Desire. Desire's good, not it. Information. Information is good, not it. Information is power, but it won't make you rich.
A deal.
Money.
Who said a deal? The second best speaker in our entire series knows the answer. The gloves. You started it, William. Yeah.
I'll concede right now. Looking for a deal, or do you want to make a deal?
A deal, okay? Got to have a good deal, all right? And that's really where Kogo comes from, is the identification of the fact everyone in here has the ability to invest in real estate. Money's not your issue, credit's not your issue, ability, health, none of those are an issue. The issue is you don't have a good deal. So because we train and educate nationwide to literally thousands of clients each and every year, we have come to identify the main objection that keeps people from engaging in finding a good deal. Anybody know what that is? Fear. Fear is a good one. It's not the reason they don't do it. What's the number one reason people don't engage and invest in real estate? Not knowing where the good deal is. Okay, that's actually a result of the problem, but it's not the main problem.
A lot of people think they don't have the money.
A lot of people don't think they don't have the money. Okay, and that is the main objection. Where am I going to get the money? I mean, how many of you have ever thought about investing in real estate before and you thought, man, that looks like a great deal. Where am I going to get the money? How many of you have thought that before? Okay, here's what you need to know. And I literally can give you this and we can all go home because this is all you need to know. All right? Money is not attracted to you. You are not attractive to money. Money doesn't even like you. What does money like? Money likes opportunity, right? Money likes to insert itself into something where it's going to grow and get fatter. And that's what it's looking for. You, as an individual, don't necessarily represent that type of an opportunity. Now, you can be educated, you can be skilled, you can have contacts, but at the end of the day, you have to have an opportunity. And in real estate, that comes in the form of the deal, the property, the price you pay, what you make it to be worth, and what you sell it for. I also want you to write this statement down. In real estate, you make money when you buy, okay? You make your money when you buy. You realize your investment when you sell. What that means is if you don't buy right, I don't care how pretty you make it, I don't care if you put granite and stainless in it, you're going to lose, Okay? So you've got to know your numbers. You've got to analyze the numbers. So tonight, I'm going to be covering with you, I'll come back to this. Tonight, I will be covering with you the 7 steps to 7 figures in real estate. Now, I know that it's late. I've got about 90 minutes of information for you. Are you guys going to make it 90 minutes, or do I need to cut it short on you?
Cut it short.
Cut it short. Thank you for your honesty. I appreciate that. All right. So, good night. Was that short enough? All right. So, disclaimer. I do not guarantee income or success. An example shown do not represent an indication of future success or earnings. Where specific figures are used and attributed to an individual business or transaction, those figures are specific to those persons, businesses, or transactions, and should not be taken as a guarantee that you'll be able to replicate those results. I'm not a lawyer and cannot give you legal advice. We assume no responsibility for what you do or do not do, but for your sake, we hope you do something. I need a physical acknowledgement that you understand the terms and conditions. Let me see a raise of hands. Everybody see it? We get on camera, Robert? Yep. All right, we have made legal smile. That's always a good thing. All right, I'm a big fan of starting with the basics. Coach Vince Lombardi, how many of you know who he is? Okay, winningest coach in all of college football, right? How did he start at the beginning of each season? He'd walk in the locker room, collegiate athletes, and he would say, gentlemen, this is a football, right? Ladies, gentlemen, this is a house. This is a commercial property. This is dirt. Now, how many of you think that right now is a good time to be buying residential real estate? Okay. How many of you think that right now is a good time to be buying commercial real estate? Okay. And how many of you think that now is a good time to be buying dirt? Really? Really? Now is a good time to be buying dirt. How many of you think no, now's not a good time to be buying commercial? No commercial? What about dirt? How many say I'm not buying dirt? No dirt? Okay. So let me ask you this. What was your name again? Larry. Larry, right across this parking lot, there is a 10,000 square foot piece of ground. It's got a fair market value of about $100,000. It's vacant land. I'll give it to you right now for $1.
I'll buy dirt.
See, there you go. How many of you have heard of location, location, location? How many of you think that's true?
Yep.
Okay, remove it from your memory bank. It's worthless information. Okay? Location, location, location has no bearing on anything. It's price, price, price. So what is the price? And what drives me nuts is when I talk to real estate investors who say, Lee, I'm going out to look at this property. I say, great, what are you going to do while you're there? Well, I'm going to determine whether or not I'm going to buy it. That's the wrong answer. The reason you get in your car and drive to any property is because you intend to determine the price that you're going to offer. Because if you're driving out to look at it, you better write an offer on it. Well, Lee, what if it's got meth or mold? Then the price comes down. Well, Lee, what if it burned down? Then the price comes way down. But there's always a price that you would pay for something, and the worst thing you can do, in my opinion, the gravest thing you can do to a seller is to go look through their property and not make them an offer. Because your offer is giving them feedback as to what you believe the value of the home to be. It's also very helpful for agents if we're representing a client who thinks their home is worth a lot more than it really is. So we say, okay, we'll list it at that, and then we get a bunch of offers at 50 cents on the dollar. We don't mind that. So write an offer. Did you have a question?
No, I was just going to say that you go to assess the property.
Yes.
You can see the pictures, but until you go and see it,
Yes.
you don't know what you're dealing with.
That's right. But don't go see it just to see it. Go see it with the intention to write an offer. Okay? So here's the rule. If you get in your car and drive, you write an offer. Period, end of statement. Okay? Don't waste your time otherwise. These are the vehicles that will make you rich if you buy them the right way, in the right place, at the right price, and you do the right thing with them. Now, to get these, you got to understand that there are 7 steps you got to know. So on your piece of paper, I want you to write the 7 steps to 7 figures, and down I want you to write a bullet of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay? You do not leave here tonight, even if you have to go home early, without getting these 7 things. Okay? So thing number 1. Julia Cameron said, the beginner's humility and openness lead to exploration. Exploration leads to accomplishment. All of it begins at the beginning with the first small and scary step. First small and scary step is this: a consistent and steady flow of predictable leads. When you guys get a phone call from a prospective buyer, how do you know what made them pick up the phone and call you? Do you know that? Do you know how to make your phone ring? Do you know why people call you? Do you know the marketing or advertising vehicle that they use to find you? Do you know that? Because until you have a steady flow of predictable leads that you literally can turn the faucet on and off, you have a business that is dependent upon someone else. Now in the year 2001, I was approached by a marketing company, and they asked if I would write a book and tape course on short selling, because my company was doing a lot of short sales at that time. So they came in and said, Lee, look, you write the course, the curriculum, we'll pay for all the production costs, and we'll put the leads together, and we'll make the sales. And in the first 4 months of that, we did $2.3 million in sales of books and tapes. Now, my pay for that was 5%. It was a royalty fee for sales. Now, what is 5% on $2.3 million? 115 grand in 4 months for writing a book and tape course. Anybody want to write a book and tape course? Okay, before you do, let me give you some words of caution, all right? To support the sales of the books and tapes, I was now traveling around the country, and I was putting on real estate investment seminars to groups like this, and I was teaching them step by step how to invest in real estate utilizing short sales as the strategy. Everything's going great until one of the customers at the event comes up to me and says, Lee, I just got to tell you that your telemarketers are rude and I hate them. I said, okay, well, that's interesting. So then I go to another event, and I have several more people come up to me and say, Lee, your customer service is horrible. I called your office 12 different times, and nobody called me back. And I went, this is a real problem. So I called the marketing company, and I said, hey, this is Lee Arnold. You guys are supposed to be taking care of these customers. They said, Lee, did you read your contract? I said, yes. They said, read it again. Do not call us about customer service complaints or issues. We handle the customers. You just show up when we tell you. Now, here's the problem with this whole scenario. I don't control the flow of the leads. I have no idea how they're making the phone ring. I have no idea how they're selling the customer, which makes me beholden to who? Them. And if they, for whatever reason, decide to start dropping mail from my account or stop making phone calls from sales from my account, what do I got? I got a warehouse full of books and tapes that I don't have a clue how to sell. Now, how does this apply to you in the real estate business? Well, you are selling a product. You are selling yourself as a product, as the person who can come in, pull the trigger quickly, and close fast. Or you are selling a completed product where you've bought a house, fixed it up, and now you want to sell it. Who are you marketing to? Where are your leads coming from? Now, I can tell you this right now, if you don't have a steady, consistent flow of leads coming into or out of your business is struggling financially, because that's the bottom line. Leads are the lifeblood of your company, and if you don't got them, you don't have a company, okay? This is what they do not tell you at free real estate investment workshops where they're trying to sell you books and tapes. What they're saying is, buy my books and tapes and everything's in there. Honestly, how many of you currently right now have books and tapes on your shelves that are still in shrink wrap? We all do it, right? So, okay, great. The mystery that unlocks the secret of the universe is right in there, and all I got to do is bust the seal, and there it sits, okay? So I'm giving you the holy grail of real estate investing. You aren't in real estate investing. You are in marketing. And your mission as a business person, because that's what real estate investing is, it is a business. It needs to be run like one, treated like one. You've got costs, you've got operational overhead, you've got marketing costs, you've got accounting, you've got taxes. Nobody tells you this at these free seminars that you go down to the DoubleTree Hotel to attend, am I right? Okay, that's because you start telling people the reality of this business, they suddenly don't want to be in it. I'm here telling you the reality of this business because if you can't handle it, you shouldn't be in it, because this business will eat you alive, seriously. Now that you know that, how many of you, knowing all of that, are willing to move forward? How many are you a little hesitant? I see some shaking hands. All right, good. If I haven't scared you off yet, let's keep going. Online, some of the easiest places to start generating leads is Craigslist. How many of you are currently running Craigslist ads? What does your Craigslist ad say? You're not.
I'm looking.
You're looking. Who's running Craigslist ads? Chris, you're the only one? Okay. Tell me what your ad says.
Right now I'm running ads to get the properties occupied.
Okay.
But the purpose of those ads are twofold. I've got property to get occupied, but I'm also running the ads to generate a buyer's list so I can go out and have my list of buyers already, and I'll find a property to fulfill that need.
Okay, so what does your ad say?
So what my ad says is lease option, no, bad credit okay, bankruptcy okay, foreclosure no problem, easy terms, low down.
Okay. All right, good. Bill, what kind of customer do you want in your business?
Well, I'd like to have a reliable one, someone who pays his rent, somebody who's there,
Okay.
somebody who follows up the business.
Okay. So do you have vacant properties that you're trying to fill?
Well, yeah,
Okay. So your motivation right now to run an ad would be to put a tenant in it.
right.
Okay, so what would your ad say?
3 bedrooms, 2 baths, convenient for property, good schools, good neighborhood,
Shh.
low down. Are you interested in buying? I'll help you buy the property. I guess that's about it. Trying to get them in to see what it looks like.
Okay, have you ever run that ad?
About 3 years ago.
Did you get any calls?
Yeah.
How many?
Well, I guess, the last call takes the place, so, it seems rather I think I got 3 before I got somebody in there.
Okay, all right.
I had 3 and somebody took it.
Okay. All right, good. Who else? You're a real estate agent, right?
Yeah.
With Keller Williams.
Yeah.
What kind of client do you want for your business?
I think along the same lines as this, somebody who's reliable, who's gonna pay the rent every month and not to trash the place, really.
Okay, wait. Do you have vacant properties that you need to fill?
No.
Okay, so I'm talking about your business.
Oh, my business.
What customer do you want to attract to yourself?
People who are ready to buy now and don't wanna kick the tires.
People who are ready to buy now and don't want to kick the tires. Have you ever run an ad that says, looking for people who want to buy and not kick tires?
No.
Try it. Okay? Here's what you need to know. You can't get anything you don't ask for. You can't get anything you don't ask for. And what most people in business fail to do is to ask the hard question. Simply by putting yourself out there and saying, hey, I would like a motivated buyer that's not going to waste my time and sit in the back of my SUV eating peanuts while I show them 20 properties on a Saturday. You run that ad, you're going to get calls. Either because they hate you because they don't like peanuts, or they're just offended by the directness of your ad, right? So we're looking for asking the question, and that's really what marketing is. So in your business, if you are looking to invest in real estate, you are looking for a motivated buyer, or I'm sorry, a motivated seller, aren't you? Because what must you have to make money in real estate? A good deal. And what must you have to have a good deal in real estate? Motivated seller. So we kind of know the building blocks of what we're looking for. Now how do we message and market to that demographic of people? How about this? Looking for motivated sellers that hate their house and need a cash offer and a closing in 3 days from now. Anybody ever run that ad? Guys, Craigslist is free. Craigslist is free. You can run as many of these ads as you want, and they can all be horrible. But a horrible ad is better than a great ad not being run. And that's the problem, is we get into this mentality of, well, I just don't know. You want to know the secret of success? Failure. Again and again and again and again and again. Problem is, people are so afraid of failure that they never even put themselves out there. Well, what if they don't like me? What if they say no? Big deal. Move on. Right? They're not rejecting you. They're rejecting the offer. They're rejecting the deal, the transaction. They're rejecting everything else. If you make it personal, it will be. If you make it impersonal or unpersonal, it isn't. And that's the secret. You guys have got to get past that, all right? Start running the ads. How many of you have used Backpage? Any success with Backpage? Do you know what Backpage is? It was a desperate attempt to compete with Craigslist. Done by a big investment firm that wanted to be cute and make everything really pretty. All right? Here's what you need to know. Pretty is only useful in dating. In marketing, it's no good, right? The uglier the better. The uglier the better. And the worst language, spell words incorrectly on purpose. People will call you to tell you that your ad's spelled incorrectly. But at least the phone is ringing, right? Okay? We got to get the phone ringing. And we need to know why. What did we do that made this happen? Okay? So that's what we're looking for. Facebook. How many of you have a Facebook page? And how many of you, if I go to your Facebook page right now, I'm going to know what you did last weekend with your friends? Okay? If you are going to be a professional in business, you need to stop using Facebook as a dumping ground of all the stupid things you do on the weekends. Okay? Because when you get looked up on your Facebook account and they see your activities, your credibility is blown. It's shot. So you need to have congruency both in who you are as a business person as well as the messaging that you're putting out into cyberspace. We have a consultant now that we work with who right now is in the process of doing a venture capital raise of $10 million. And what they're creating is an algorithm that will compete with TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. Now what's interesting about this algorithm is it's not a credit rating. What it is it's a sociology rating. And it combs through your Facebook page, your LinkedIn page, your Twitter account, and all your social media statuses to find out what kind of a person you are. Are you single this weekend and in a married relationship next weekend and then single again? And do you cite that you're a Christian and then you got all these parties of you getting drunk at the bonfire? They're looking for congruency. Are you who you say you are at all times, or are you telling me something you think I want to hear and behind the scenes you're somebody completely different? Now, when you're renting property to a tenant, would you like to pay for such a report? Where you can go into Facebook and say, are you aware that a year ago you were partying with your friends at the frat house and you burnt the joint down? Because that's not the kind of tenant I'm looking for. Would you pay for that kind of report?
I actually go to Facebook when a tenant puts an application. I go to their Facebook page and check them out.
Did anybody know that this is happening? I mean, we look at job applicants' Facebook accounts to see who are these people. So you need to understand that what you are putting out into cyberspace has a lot more going on than just, hey, look what I did over the weekend. So be careful. LinkedIn. This is typically more of a professional website. I like LinkedIn. Of all the social media sites, I like LinkedIn the best because if you're a moron, they'll kick you off. So they've done a good job of maintaining the credibility of the people that are there. And if you do anything that they don't like, you're out very quickly. CB was recently kicked off. Ask him about it.
Chris, don't hit on me on Facebook.
Yep, moving on. All right. Opt-ins. Opt-ins from Private Money Exchange, PM Pipeline. It should be a PME pipeline, and the PME Black Book. Now what these are, guys, these are databases, social media sites, as well as landing page and affiliate sites that as a company we have built for our clients. Now through our Kogo Capital facilities, we currently don't offer an affiliate website or an affiliation with Kogo Capital. But as I mentioned, we're a national seminar training education company. We are a national lender through our Private Money Exchange brand, and we are constantly doing deals in all areas of the United States of America. So we currently have about 2,600 affiliates within our company that are going out and soliciting loans and sending them in to us. On any given day, we see 50 to 150 leads coming into our business of borrowers, people interested in borrowing money, people interested in lending money. And we have gone out of our way to create a steady, consistent flow of leads. Now we are buying ads through Google, through Facebook. Is anybody buying ads through Facebook through a pay-per-click campaign? If you have not looked at the geo-targeting that you get with Facebook, you are missing out on something pretty incredible. Because you can go into the back office in Facebook, run an ad, and you can pick out all of the single men in a certain zip code who like to drink Schlitz beer. And you can zero in that tight and message only to them. So when you buy ads, your ads are only seen by the 2 single guys in this zip code who drink Schlitz beer. And every time they go to their Facebook account, they see your 2 ads. So what are you doing to target your best client? First of all, you got to know who they are. And so it's good that you know exactly who you're trying to attract. The rest of you, you need to get real clear on who it is you want calling you. Who do you ultimately want to do business with? Build the model of your dream client and then create messaging that attracts your dream client. Does that make sense? Okay? All right. Offline, we have direct mail, phone calls, newspaper ads, real estate investment meetings, and networking meetings. Okay? Now, I'm curious, of all of the marketing that you see up here, what do you believe to be the highest rate of return or the highest and best use of your investment dollar for marketing? What's your guess? Okay, you say direct mail. What else? Newspaper ads, okay. What is it? Craigslist? What else? Networking, okay. Anyone else? Phone calls. Anyone else? It's okay to fail. You can be wrong.
I'll go with opt-ins.
Opt-ins, okay. Sir, what do you say in the back? Craigslist? What do you think? Craigslist, okay. Best yielding return on investment of all of the marketing that's available to you is direct mail. Direct mail right now will give you the highest and best rate of return on your marketing dollar than anything else that you can do if you follow with a phone call. Now, how many of you have dropped direct mail before? How many pieces, Chris?
1,000.
1,000 to who?
Done different campaigns. So in that 1,000, I probably had, it was a mix of free and clear
Okay.
owners, out of area owners, out of non-owner occupied owners, so they in the area, but so as a targeted area, and I'd do 1,000.
Okay. So you sent a list, 1,000 pieces to free and clear owners.
Well, my goal was to send 1,000 mailings, but I didn't have 1,000 free and clear owners, so I add until I got 1,000.
Okay. So what were your results? How many phone calls did you get?
See, it's been a while since I've done direct mail. It was actually pre-2008. It was, you know, the initial, and I did short sales as well, but the initial mailing was, typical 1-2%.
Okay.
We did like a 8-letter campaign.
Okay.
So we multiple.
So you were doing 8 pieces to the same lead.
To the same list.
Okay. So of the investment, you dropped 1,000 pieces. What did you pay?
Our budget was somewhere around about $2,000 a month.
Wait a minute. You're a real estate investor and you have a marketing budget?
Wow.
What a great idea. Yeah, good. Marketing budget.
Cool.
How many leads did you get? How many phone calls? How many responses?
I don't remember exactly, enough to turn it off.
Not enough to keep it on.
Enough to turn off.
Okay, so your results weren't enough to pay for the investment.
No, we got enough that we had enough business that we turned it off for a while so we could.
Okay, you stopped mailing because you couldn't keep up with the lead flow.
Right.
Did you make outbound calls to those that didn't respond?
No.
Okay. Add outbound calls to your list and your return on investment will go up 20%. Meaning of the pieces you drop, if you get a 1% response rate on 1,000 pieces, what's a 1% response rate on 1,000 pieces? 10. If you make outbound calls and your response rate goes up to 20%, what's your response rate now? 200. Okay? So do you want 10 leads or do you want 200 leads? Okay? What I see most real estate investors do is they invest in all of these silly marketing things. They buy these ad campaigns from these different gurus online and they're going to ship you leads. Well, here's the problem. You're giving them money. What happens if they die? What if they get hit by their proverbial truck? What happened to your lead flow? Okay? So your job as a real estate investor is to know how leads are being produced and dictate. Know what your marketing budget is, know what your return on investment of marketing budget is, and know how many leads do you have to drop to get the results that you're looking for. You can't go into this guessing and hoping. You've got to have a very strategic plan outlined. So my recommendation for you is the cheapest way to start advertising is Craigslist. Now, The other thing I love about Craigslist is because it's free, you can test all kinds of different subject lines, right? So you go into Craigslist and you say, piece of junk house, steal it now, right? Call immediately. Who's calling that ad? Would you call that ad if you saw it? I would call that ad, right? So if you run this ad, who are the people that are calling you most likely? Real estate investors. And if you get 20 calls, and in that call you capture their name, their phone number, and their email address, what do you now have? A buyer's list, right? So now you've got 20 people that you can go out and message to, market to, call to, send emails to, and the next time you come across a great deal, you don't have to guess who you're going to sell it to. Was it you that told the story about your dad putting the deal under contract and walking down the street and getting paid? It's a lot easier when you have a ready-made, built-in, pre-qualified list of investor buyers who want more deals. Chris mentioned in his intro that he has paid up to $35,000 for an assignment fee on a wholesale deal, right? What was the deal? What was the property?
It was a property that a guy was selling. He didn't care what he made on it. Actually, the reason I paid so much on it, this is an interesting story if you don't mind.
Can you do it quickly?
Quick.
Yeah.
The reason I paid so much on an assignment fee is because somebody else beat me to the assignment, so I had to pay them off too. But it was such a good deal, I made $50,000 on the deal, even after paying that. So the deal was the guy didn't care what he sold it for. He was going to a nursing home, and Medicaid was going to take everything. So it was a $170,000 property that I picked up for $60,000, I think. I paid more in an assignment than I paid for the property.
Would anybody in here pay $35,000 if you were going to make a $55,000 profit?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's not a bad deal. Okay. Now, how many of you would like to make $35,000 on one deal? Anyone? Okay. What must you have to do that? A good deal. And what must you have to procure a good deal? A steady, consistent, reliable, dictatable source of leads. Okay? So, as you can see, it all is propagated on leads. Gotta have leads, yes?
Can you say that one more time?
No, because I made it up as I was saying it. Reliable, predictable, consistent, steady, predictable, twice, on purpose. Controllable. All right, so now, who should we mail to? Well, I can tell you, we opened this Kogo Capital facility November 1, and we immediately needed to start marketing. And what kind of a client does Kogo Capital need to succeed in business? What are we looking for? Investors who are going to do what? Borrow money, buy real estate. So let's think through together, what's the best list we could get that is the client we're looking for?
County records.
County records, okay. A lot of work, but certainly you could go there. But who is on this list? Who are these people? People are going through bankruptcy because they might need some money. Unfortunately, we can't lend to owner-occupants. So we wouldn't be able to help that group. Good guess, you failed. You're on your way to success. It's a good thing, right? Okay? Who are we trying to attract? Okay, let me give it to you. This is a list of 1,500 real estate investors in Spokane County who have purchased real estate in the last 60 months and got a loan from a private money lender. 1,500. Now, would anybody like to have this list? Sure. It'll cost you. You want to know how much this list will cost you? $60. You can go get one because these are only 4 cents a lead. CoreLogic, okay, a company called ListSource. ListSource is the company through which you purchase leads, okay. ListSource is where you go to buy them. CoreLogic is a company that is owned by First American Title. First American Title is one of the largest data aggregators in the United States because they've been doing it since the 1950s. They have all of the data on every home sold in every county in every city in America in all 50 states. They're the most reliable source for information. I don't work for them. I don't get spiffed by telling you that. I just know it to be true. Their leads are the best leads out there. Now, here's what else is interesting about this particular list. In addition to getting the purchaser's name, mailing address, you also get the address of the property that they purchased, so you can see if it's an owner-occupied home, and you get the mailing address and name of the lender that gave them the money to buy the private money property. So 1,500 leads is really what? It's 3,000 leads. I got 1,500 real estate investors who bought property using private money. I've got 1,500 lenders who lent money to real estate investors for 60 bucks. No duplicates, other than lenders who have lent on multiple properties. Yeah. So you guys are welcome to come up and look at this when we're done. Don't rush the stage. Okay. You'll see multiple borrowers over and over and over again. You'll see multiple lenders over and over and over again, but they're all in here. Okay. So now we've got this fantastic list. What do we do with it? Direct mail. Okay. So let's go there. Who do we want to mail to? Okay. We want investors, right? We want investors who maybe want to buy deals or sell properties. So who do you want to attract? You want to attract the buyers or you want to attract the sellers? Which? Who do you want? You got to choose. Who do you want? You want buyers or sellers?
Buyers.
Okay, let me see the hands. Who wants buyers? And who wants sellers? Okay, I'm going to go with the sellers because that's the right answer. Remember, what must you have to make money in real estate? A motivated seller. So who should we go after? Sellers. Okay, so let's construct a letter together that we should send to one of these people. Now, they own a piece of real estate. They don't live there. It's not owner occupied. Who should we target first on this list?
Are you talking about targeting for your Kogo Capital?
No, I'm talking about you. This is for you. I'm talking about how are you guys going to get more business, buy more property, make more money?
Oh yeah, sellers.
You want sellers, okay? What kind of seller do you want? Motivated seller. Who do you think is a motivated seller? Probably somebody on this list whose tax mailing notice is being sent out of state. That information is also on here because it says, where do you send the letter to the owner? And it says Ohio or Florida or Georgia or California. Out-of-state owners is what we're looking for. So here is the trifecta of motivated seller, great deal. Okay? Number one, it's got to be a free and clear property. We want property with no mortgages on it. These have mortgages, but I'll talk to you about that in a minute. We want them to be out of state. We don't want them to live anywhere near the property. And we want it to preferably be vacant. Okay? That's the trifecta. Out-of-state owner, free and clear, property is vacant. Because those are all of the things that make the recipe of the motivated seller that's desperate to get out. Anybody ever owned a rental property out of state?
No.
How did you like that experience, Chris? No. William, did you like that experience?
My son did.
Not really? Okay.
He
Hated it? Yes, sir.
trashed it.
I had one at a time in 1980, the only property I had, and I wasn't thrilled to have it, but circumstance. I got a call during the Tonight Show about midnight, my neighbors who lived, this was in Pasadena, California, lived across the driveway, informing me that the fire department was chopping the roof out of the house right at that moment.
Oh my
The
God.
renters ended up paying, it was a total disaster. But we scraped it away and rebuilt it and got me some seed capital. But
Oh, good.
When your one and only rental burns down and you're out of state, I stayed up till 3 in the morning reading my policy to see if you're not around, I thought there was a clause.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, were you frantically calling your insurance agent? Am I paid due? Yeah.
This morning he offered to send me some tranquilizers or something. I was so nervous I couldn't.
Yeah. I can tell you guys, owning property out of state as a landlord is the biggest brain damage you can have. Now, if you have economies of scale, meaning you've got infrastructure, you've got staff, you have people that can manage these properties, then it's not nearly as painful. But most of the people that are on this list, they are one property owners. Most of them had to relocate for a job. They could not sell their house here, so they said, well, we'll just rent it out. How often does this scenario happen? All the time. So they get stuck with this property, they move across the country, and everything's great as long as they have a tenant who's paying their rent. But when those two things end, suddenly they hate that house. Okay? So you guys don't need to go rooting around. This is the diamond in the rough. And they're very easy to find. The leads are so targeted, it's not even funny. And that's why I'm always shocked when I meet real estate investors who don't have enough deals, aren't making enough money, don't have enough going on. What that tells me immediately is you're not marketing effectively. And if that's where you're at, this is the solution for you. So, different lead verticals, okay? Pre-foreclosures, NODs, short sales, equity deals, sheriff sales, Liz Penance, probate, estate sale, tax auction. Which of these verticals do you want to pursue? Pre-foreclosure? Anyone else? Shh. You like probate? You like estate sale? Okay. I want you guys to write this down on your paper. There are riches in niches. Have you written that down yet? There are riches in niches. Here's the other reason most real estate investors fail. They paint with this massively broad brush. And the problem with a broad brush is it's impossible to know who you're trying to target. It's impossible to know what you want the outcome to be. How many of you have a duplex? Okay? So, Chris, if you came to me and said, I need some marketing consulting, I would say, okay, Chris, well, what is your most profitable property in your portfolio? And let's say you say the duplex. I say, okay, Chris, we're going to stop all this other nonsense, and we're going to just be the duplex guy. So you become Chris McIntosh, the Spokane Coeur d'Alene duplex guy. Now that we've niched, how easy is it to find our target? We just go to ListSource and we type in that we're looking for residential multi-unit duplexes. How many leads do we get? Spokane County, let's say we get 300. Is it easier to aggressively mail to 300 or to 1,500? 300. Is it easier to consistently and regularly dial through 300 prospects or 1,500 prospects? Okay, so when you identify the niche that you want to play in, it's much easier to zero in on who your target is and give them a lot of affection. How many of you in here are married? Okay, think back to your courting process. How successful would your marriage have been if you were pursuing 10 wives or husbands all at the same time? Would you be married? Would you still be married if you were doing that now? Probably not. Okay? The same is true in business. You've got to zero in and focus on what it is you want to accomplish. So you can't have people come to you and say, what do you do? Oh, I'm a real estate investor. That tells me nothing. That tells me you went to a seminar at the Doubletree Hotel. What kind of a real estate investor are you? So what is your unique selling proposition? How many of you know what an elevator speech is? Okay, how many of you have an elevator speech? Would you mind sharing your elevator speech with us? Wait, let me time you. Go.
Hi, my name is Kevin. Right now I'm a project manager and I'm starting into real estate investing. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Anybody want to do business with this guy?
No.
I don't want to do business with him because I'm not I don't know what I'm doing yet. That's why I'm...
Okay, that's a horrible elevator speech. Worst one ever, right?
You're on your way to success.
That's right. You have failed, my friend. Good for you. Number one, nobody can hear you. Okay. Number two, I don't know what you do. Three, I don't know what benefit I have in doing business with you. Okay. So your elevator speech needs to be very concise, very structured, very specific, and you need to have things in there that say, I want to know more about this person. Okay. Who's got one? CB, what's your elevator speech? Wait. Go.
Hi, my name's C.B. Wellman. I'm the Director of Funding Secure Investment Corp, and I help people make money by giving them money. If you need money, you come talk to me. If you want to find deals, I'll get you deals. Come talk to me.
Okay. Great. Thanks, CB. Give him a round of applause.
That's the shortest Lee's ever heard me talk.
CB, I just want to say congratulations. You have failed.
Yes.
What's your email address? What's your website? What's your phone number? I don't have any idea how to contact you.
Well, I thought that was for
They'll
my
ask.
card.
They'll ask.
Okay, remember, an elevator speech, you've got to envision what it is. You got 30 seconds. Doors close, elevator goes up, doors open, you leave. What do they know? So, say, here's my card, everything you need to know is right there. So you've got to have a call to action, okay? Your elevator speech must have a viable call to action. How do they get back in contact with you if they choose to do that? All right, so pre-foreclosure NODs, short sales, equity deals, share sales. These are all what we call marketing verticals, okay? Because they are all different niches within the real estate space, and you market to them differently at different times. When do you market to a pre-foreclosure? By definition, what is a pre-foreclosure?
Somebody in trouble with their payment, but they're not foreclosed.
Somebody in trouble with their payment where the legal notice has not yet been filed, okay? That's pre-foreclosure. So if you say, I work in the pre-foreclosure space, I'm going to the courthouse to pull leads, no, you're not. Okay? They're not a pre-foreclosure, they're an NOD. Okay? So it's a completely different vertical. It's a notice of default. Okay? In a non-judicial foreclosure market, a notice of default is the legal document that begins the foreclosure proceedings. In a judicial foreclosure state, they conduct what's called a sheriff sale, and the legal proceeding begins with what's called a lis pendens, which is Latin for lien pending. Okay? So knowing which market you're in and which vertical you're going to work changes everything. Now, here's my favorite vertical, and I'm going to give it to you as long as you promise to go out and find as many of these in this market as you can get your hands on. Who promises? Repeat after me. I promise to do whatever Lee says because he's amazingly brilliant. Amen. All right. All right, here's what I want. I want out-of-state, free and clear owners where the property is vacant, okay? And I'm going to give you two separate ones here because they're separate. It can't be free and clear if they have a mortgage, all right? So here's how we separate them. Free and clear, no mortgage, okay? If there is a mortgage, though, I would like a mortgage that was written before or on the year 1995, okay? Why 1995, do you think? Anyone ever but you guys? Tony?
7 years out.
7 years out from what? Say that again? Okay, those mortgages are assumable. Did you know that all mortgages are assumable? All mortgages are assumable, unless they specifically state unassumable. Okay. Also, you don't have to assume them through a qualifying assumption. You can do it through an all-inclusive trust deed or a contract for deed, where you assume the mortgage without qualifying with the bank. So
1995, pre-95 are like that.
here, no. Here, let me tell you, just so we don't all get confused here. 1995 was how many years ago? 18. Anyone other than CB? 18. Good, Tony. Good for you. 18 years ago. In a 30-year AM loan, in what year, hey, pay attention. In a 30-year AM loan, in what year does your payment start paying down your principal faster than your interest? The 17th and a half year, okay? So by going after mortgages that are in 1995 or sooner, when you assume that loan and you start making payments on it, you're buying your principal down very rapidly, so you're building equity at a very, very fast clip. Furthermore, if you take over a loan written in 1995 and you make all of the remaining payments, how many years do you have before the property is free and clear? 12. So I find it fascinating that as real estate investors, we get all, mad at the banks because they won't give us a brand new 30-year mortgage. Why in the world would I want a 30-year mortgage when I can take one over that only has 12 years left of payments? Okay? You don't need a bank. You don't need mortgages. Now, this only works in this scenario where the seller is willing to allow you to take over the underlying. What kind of a seller would allow you to take over the underlying mortgage and believe that you're going to make all of their payments on time? A motivated seller. Okay? Out-of-state motivated seller.
Why do you want it out of state, though?
Because an out-of-state owner is more motivated than somebody who owns the property across the street. They can't drive to it. If the tenants don't pay them, they can't run over and kick them.
Okay.
My son
It's in
sold
water.
his. He sold it, and he came to Spokane from Arizona, and he sold it as fast as he could because,
Oh, they
actually
crashed.
to an
So he
investor,
was a
because he
motivated
crashed
seller.
his
And he
house
was
so
very
bad.
motivated.
He was motivated.
Your son sold his house to real estate investors?
Well, actually to a real estate
Yeah.
person that a friend of his knew.
Aren't you guys real estate investors?
Yeah.
How come you didn't buy them?
Because we didn't know about it,
They
Okay.
didn't have the money, they didn't know where to get it.
we didn't know where to get it.
Where could you get the money now, though?
I gave him $100,000.
Where could you get the money now?
You could do that tomorrow.
From you,
From who?
somebody here,
Congo.
a private lender. Go.
No, I want to.
Please write this down. When banks say no, call. Okay. All right, so why equity deals? Guys, equity deals are my favorite type of real estate transaction that exists in all of real estate. Now, what is an equity deal?
When you buy a property that has already equity in it.
Okay, good. Let me make it simpler. An equity deal is a deal with equity.
Okay.
What is equity? The margin between what is owed and what it's worth. You're right. You have not failed. Yeah, sorry. The difference between what is owed and what it's worth. I like equity deals the best because I don't have to go to a lender and negotiate a short sale and get them to agree to take less than what they're owed. That's what a short sale is. How many of you successfully consummated a short sale? How long did that take?
3 months.
3 months? Can you beat that, Chris?
We did one in about 45 days.
That's
The
fast.
fastest.
Wow.
Okay.
Longest is about 2
What's
years.
2 years? Can anybody beat 2 years for a short sale negotiation?
About funding of a short sale negotiation.
Okay.
That was one for 3 years.
I have one that took 3.5 years.
Wow.
3.5 years. But that was strategic because it was a woman who had a $750,000 house. Her and her husband got married right out of high school. They had 6 children. And one day in the middle of the night, he decided to just up and leave. No notice, no notification, no nothing. So when I went and met with her, as you know, in a short sale, you have to have certain qualifying financial documentations like bank statements, pay stubs, tax returns, all those things. She didn't have any of that. She got married in high school, never set up a bank account. Husband filed all the tax returns. She didn't have a checking account. He handled all the bills. She had nothing. So when we structured her hardship letter and packaged the deal, I presented to the bank, this woman has nothing. And they wanted to just keep, they kept foreclosing. So finally, we went down and had her file multiple bankruptcies. She filed bankruptcy. She went out of bankruptcy. She filed again. She went out of bankruptcy. She filed again. You can file multiple bankruptcies if you file a Chapter 13. Now, they changed the laws in 2007. So now you can't file them as frequently, and each time you file, the amount of stay or relief that you get from your creditors shortens. Finally, by the 4th time you file, you don't get any stay or relief. They just take everything. Okay? But if you understand the strategies of avoiding foreclosure from banks, you can keep homeowners in there for years, which is why I'm fascinated by homeowners who get a late notice from their lender and move out. It's like if you would have just called me, I could have kept you for 3 years in that house for free. Now, here's a fun strategy which borders on the line of ethical, but it's still legal. And I'll share it with you just because it's late and I'm getting punchy. Here it is. You find a property where the homeowner's moved out. They aren't paying the bank, and according to the purchase or the mortgage documents that they signed when they purchased that home, it said that they were entitled to all of the income generated from that property, whether the mortgage is current or not. It's only in commercial loans where there's an assignment of rent clause. It doesn't exist in residential real estate, which means if you track down the vacant homeowner who has moved out of this property, you know that foreclosure takes 9 months, right? From the notice of default filing to the auction happening, it's like a 9-month process, even in a non-judicial market, if you know what you're doing. So you track down the homeowner and you say, look, you've moved out of the property, here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to turn the heat on, the gas on, I'd like to pay you $100 a month. Now, you're a homeowner, you just moved out of your house, you're losing it, you care less, are you going to agree to $100 a month? Sure, sign here. Can I get a signature, please? Thank you very much. What do I now have? I have the rights to that property. What am I now going to do with it? Going to go rent it out. I'm going to go to that Craigslist. I'm going to run an ad. Hey, month-to-month rent, no qualifying, no credit check, 9-month term. People call me, what do you got? I got a house that should rent for $1,000 a month. It's going to auction. You can move in. You have to move out in 9 months, but I'll give it to you right now for $750. What am I paying the owner? What am I getting? $650. What are my debt costs? $0.
Okay.
Legal.
Are you paying the water?
You can make the tenants pay that. You can pay that. Whatever you want to do. It's your deal. You structure it how you want.
Hey,
Yes.
I have that scenario right now. I just went and located the homeowner. They're, I mean,
Yeah, I got one.
the house has been vacant. The house.
Really?
The house has been vacant for like 18 months. But I located the homeowner, went and knocked on the door, and they said, well, they just washed their hands of it. And I said, well, the property's still in your name. It hasn't even been changed to the bank at all. It's still in your name. So how do I know how long I have if I do that program? She'll do.
Ask to see the bank statements from the lender, because the lender has been sending a pretty constant stream of nastygrams. And in those nastygrams, they will tell you what the state of urgency is as to how much pressure they're applying on foreclosing.
So in order to do that, I have to know the day that they're going to foreclose on that property?
If the notice of default hasn't been filed, you're at least 4.5 months out. From the notice of default, you got a 90-day redemptive period, 3-week advertising period, and then the sale auction date is set and held. So you've got 4.5 months from the date that the notice is filed.
I've been trying to buy that property.
But if they have a sale date,
Say that again?
the sale date.
If they have a sale date, it's going to auction in a couple of weeks.
So what if the bank, I mean, how, okay, then, so it's legal because she gave me right to that property.
Correct. She gave you a lease. The lease gave you all rights to the property to sublead as you choose.
And three, you can also, you get their statement, if they, sir, if you get the notification from the bank and you're talking to that homeowner and you have their late statement, you have the bank's contact information, you can go direct to the bank to negotiate the sale of the
I'm
property.
gonna go to see
Or-
Mrs. Smith
or-
tomorrow.
Or
What's the address of her place?
No, you know what? It's in Tacoma.
Well, but purchase, you can negotiate the note sale, you can negotiate, hey, you wanna skip foreclosure, hey, and you can make an offer to the bank and do your own short sale while you're renting it. You have
Hey,
the
I
rights
have
to
5
rent
of
it,
these that I know
and you can
about.
delay the sale.
Yeah,
I'm
you-
interested in buying it, they'll stop the sale. You can reach out to the trustee, you get all the information from the homeowner because it's been available to them.
You can rent it out while you negotiate the sale unless you're an agent.
Unless you're an agent. All right.
It was worth me stopping by.
Yes.
So you get the right to release?
Yeah. They just lease the property to you for $100 a month. Okay? Now, I could do a whole seminar on that strategy alone, but that's not why we're here. Here's what you need to understand from this. Making money in real estate is really easy. You just got to know some simple things. And if you know 2, you're on your way. What are the 2 things you got to know? Steady, consistent, reliable source of leads.
The one I asked
And then what?
really good deals.
Motivated seller. That's it. Okay? Don't make this harder than it is. It's really that easy. All right. Short sales. Pros. You can help people stay in their home. You can lower their payments. You can increase their equity. Stop foreclosure. No bankruptcy. You can inspect the interior. Requires no rehab. Can get bank financing. Can take charge of a higher market rent. Cons. Tenant stops paying. Tenant trashes property, or the tenant abandons the property. Okay? Mark Victor Hansen said, I say you ought to write out 10 outrageous goals that are bigger than you because your life isn't meaningful or important unless you're on purpose about something way bigger than you are. How many of you are here for a reason other than to make money? What's your reason?
I want to help other people that have lost their jobs and are in a tough situation, got kids, and they're getting kicked out of their house. I would love to help a person.
Okay, good.
I'd like to help my 4 daughters.
Okay, good.
Also help people because it's easier to help people when you have wealth than if you don't have it.
Okay, good. Anybody else a reason here other than making money?
I want to retire with dignity.
Retire with dignity? That's money.
That's money.
Yeah. What do you want?
Education.
Education, what do you want?
More time with family.
More time with family. Okay, here's the rule, guys, and that's what this quote is really saying. Success is much easier found if you're doing it for reasons other than money. Okay, monetary gain isn't going to get you anywhere. Nobody buys into that, right? You got to have a cause, you got to have a passion that's bigger than you, and it's got to be bigger than money. And if you're here because you just want to get rich, you're going to struggle. Okay, nobody's passionate about that. So you need to identify a reason that's bigger than just making money. Now, as you guys heard from us and from Dean, our reason as a company is the circle of wealth. And it was CB or somebody that mentioned, you know, we have file after file after file after file of people that have been successful and made money in real estate because of what we do here at our company. I woke up this morning to a text message from one of my mentors. Where's Regan? He's out in, what, is he in Kansas? Cincinnati. So I get a text from Regan. He's the guy that runs our mentoring program. We have mentors that fly out and spend 3 days in the field with clients all over the country. Regan right now is in Cincinnati. This morning he was at the sheriff's sale, and he sent me a text of our client, our student, walking up with the sheriff's deed because he had just purchased a home at foreclosure auction. That's what I love about our business, because without Regan going out and teaching this person how to buy at a sheriff's auction, they would have never been able to do it. Now, who's Regan? Regan is a guy that came to my real estate brokerage in Salt Lake City 12 years ago with a big halo on his head. He was driving a 1978 Toyota single-bed cab with both quarter panels rusted out. He had just wrecked his airplane and broke his neck, which is why he had this halo. He comes into my office, he says, Lee, I want to be a successful real estate investor. I said, are you willing to do what I tell you to do? He said, yes, I will. And he did. Right now, Regan flies around the country on his own twin-prop airplane that he pilots himself. He's a multi-millionaire. 12 years ago, he didn't have 2 nickels rubbed together. So I'm here to tell you guys, this stuff works. It's not hard, but you have to work it, and you have to work it hard. Okay? It works, and it's not hard, but you have to work hard. Anybody willing to work hard? Okay? How many of you heard the statement, don't work harder, work smarter? Yeah. Can you do both and get there faster? Okay? So here's what you need to know. 25, 25, and 2 is your formula for success. So if you came here looking for the blueprint of what do I do first, what do I do second, what do I do third, here's where you begin. You are going to commit before you leave here tonight that you will send 25 pieces of mail every week. And you will commit before you leave here tonight to make 25 outbound calls each and every week. And you will commit before you leave here tonight to write 2 offers each and every week. Now, 52 weeks in a year, at the end of 12 months, you have written 1,200 pieces of mail. Now, honestly, if you were to write 1,200 pieces of mail between now and the next 12 months, how many of you would, that would be the most mail you've ever sent in your entire life. Thank you for your honesty, okay? And if you make 1,200 calls in a year, how many of you would be, that's more calls than you've made to prospective borrowers or lenders in your entire life? And 96 offers in the next 12 months, how many of you, that's more offers than you've ever written in your entire life? Okay? Now, here's my challenge for you. The student who has made it the furthest with this strategy that I'm sharing with you made it 4.5 months. Now, at the end of 4.5 months, she quit. Any guesses as to why? Her hand hurt. Brain damage. Unfortunately, she died. I'm totally kidding. But now suddenly everybody's awake, so that works out pretty well. Yeah, she died with dignity. Yeah, dude. Yeah, she died licking the envelopes. That's right. Guys, she couldn't manage the lead flow. In that 4.5 months, she purchased over 7 properties. Guess where she got the money to buy them? Go-Go, okay? She made money buying and selling these properties. She had to stop mailing because she had created more leads than she could manage. Is that a good problem to have? Yeah. So I called her and I was screaming at her. I said, Mary, why did you stop mailing? She says, Lee, I don't have time to call all of these people back. My phone is ringing off the hook. Now, here's something else that was funny, because I actually flew down to South Carolina to work with Mary, and I had spent 4 months on the phone with Mary prior to going out there. And one of the things that I encourage people to do is to purchase a car magnet, right? And on the car magnet it says, investor pays cash for real estate, close in 3 days, and your phone number. So Mary did exactly what I told her to. She purchased the car magnet, and everything was going great. Investor buys houses for cash, close in 3 days. That's all it says, okay? So Mary's sending her letters, she's making her phone calls, she's writing her offers. I arrive at her house, and as I'm walking into the garage to go into her home, I look over at the fridge. And guess what's on the fridge? Car magnet. And I said, Mary, how long has that car magnet been on the fridge? She said, well, Lee, it's actually been there since the day I got it. I said, Mary, how many calls have you gotten since you put the car magnet on the fridge? Well, I haven't gotten any calls. I said, Mary, put that stupid car magnet on your car now. And I left. She called me 4 hours later as I was at the airport about to board my plane. She says, Lee, you're never going to believe what happened. What do you all suppose happened? Somebody called her on her car magnet. She bought the house. We lent her the money. Guess how much she made? 17 grand. From what?
A car magnet.
Car magnet. Guess how much it cost? $55 for a car magnet. Okay? I'm pretty confident up to this point you guys have been making this a lot harder than it needs to be. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay, this is really quite simple, but you have to do the simple things. And you have to do them religiously. There can be no breaking, okay? Now Mary called me, I spoke with Mary 2 weeks ago, and she said, Lee, my call volume's down. I said, okay. What do you suppose she isn't doing?
Magnets back on her refrigerator.
25, 25, and 2. Guys, here's the thing. I don't care if you run out of time, energy, or effort, or money to buy stamps. If you would like to make $100,000 or more in the next 12 months, that is your formula. Now, here's my guarantee to you, okay? Here's my guarantee. And my attorney says I can't make guarantees, I'm going to do it anyway. Here's my guarantee to you. You do that religiously for the next 52 weeks, and for every dollar short of $100,000 that you come up short, I will write you a check for. Who's going to do it? Promise? Robert, am I on tape? Did you all hear me? I guarantee it. That's pretty bold, isn't it? How could I make such a claim?
Because you've seen that work over and over.
Because nobody to date has successfully done it. They've tried, but they get so far into it, they can't handle the volume of leads. They own too many properties. They've got too many tenants. And they say, it's got to stop. And guess what they always make? 6 figures or more every single year. So if you're wondering why you haven't been making money in real estate, it's because you're not mailing, you're not calling, you're not writing offers. That's it. Don't you feel kind of silly that you're not rich yet? Yeah, guys, it's really quite simple. Question.
I mean, direct mail. I mean, you mentioned list source. You know, there's got to be other direct mail places to.
There are people you can outsource it to.
Yeah, but don't.
Do it yourself.
Yeah, but don't. But don't. Yeah, but don't. No. Do it exactly as I say.
Keep it in and control yourself.
Keep it simple. Keep control. Purchase the list through list source, nowhere else. Everyone else is selling you recycled leads. Okay, the data's old. Leads must be fresh. Get the leads yourselves. Shh. Get the leads yourself. Write the mail. Hand address the envelope. Lick the stamp. Mail it. 25 a week. Now, let's break this down to the reduction of the ridiculous. How many of you know what the reduction of the ridiculous is? Okay? A $400,000 house, does that seem like a lot? Okay? If we get a 5% mortgage on the house, how much is that a month? CB?
20,000. No, 1,500.
Payment a month, you mean?
Let's call it $2,000. Everybody comfortable with $2,000? $400,000 house, 5%? Taxes and insurance. Okay.
23. Then it's 2,500 because of $400,000.
Yeah. When you have the microphone, you can talk. All right. $2,000 a month, right? Divide 2,000 a month, divide 2,000 by 30. What do you get? $66.07. How much is that? That's $66 a day for a $400,000 house. Does that sound affordable? Okay, take $66 a day divided by 24. What do you get? 240. Now divide 240 by 60 seconds. 4 cents. 4 cents per second is all it's going to take to live in this $400,000 beautiful. That's the reduction of the ridiculous, okay? And we do this all the time, right? I want to be a millionaire. By when? Reduction of the ridiculous. How much do you have to make per day to be a millionaire by that goal? Does that make sense? Okay? So if you want to be a millionaire in the next 12 months, how much do you have to make each and every month? William? 86,000. Does that sound like a lot? Okay. What happens if you make your goal 2 years, 3 years, 4 years? You've got to set goals that you can believe in. And one of the easiest ways to believe in goals is to reduce them to something that is palatable, something that you can really buy into. Now, does 25 letters a week sound like a lot? All right, well, let's reduce it. It's 5 letters a day if you do a Monday through Friday, isn't it? Couldn't you mail 5 letters at lunch on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? What have you successfully accomplished? 25. Now, could you get up early, say 9:30 on a Saturday? How long would it take you to call 25 leads? Hour and a half? So could you get up on a Saturday morning and dial 25 people? Have we fulfilled that obligation?
If you keep it short.
Yeah. Now, how many of you drive by a piece of real estate when you're going to work, going home? How many of you drive past a piece of real estate?
Yeah.
How many of you have stopped, called the sign, written an offer?
Oh, I did.
2 a week? Okay? That's the last part of the equation, guys. We got to write offers on real estate 2 a week. Now, this is a lot easier if you go back to what I said at the very beginning. Don't drive to a piece of property wondering if you're going to buy it. Drive to a piece of property knowing you're going to do what?
Make an offer.
Make an offer. And what are you going to offer? The price that you are willing to pay so that you can make a profit. Because in real estate, you make money when you buy. You realize your investment when you sell. Every property has a price that you're willing to pay. So determine it, write it out. I have a client in San Francisco. I was out working with him in Jerry Strax when I was out there, April. So April, I fly out, and he's located in Fremont, California, and he takes me up to the Berkeley district, and right next to the Berkeley College, which is UC Berkeley, there is a big, beautiful white hotel called the Clarion, or is it the Claremont? I think it's, do you know, William? It's the Clarion. Anybody seen this thing? Beautiful. I mean, it's old, but it's pretty old. I mean, they've done a great job making this thing nice. So he takes me up to this guy that he acquired by doing exactly this. Now, this is in April. I had been working Jerry since November of the previous year. So November of 2011, I go to Jerry's house in April. Jerry says, Lee, I've got this beautiful home. It's actually trash, but it's in this beautiful area of town. He said, and I have been going out of my way to track down the owner. I said, well, tell me what you've done. He said, I've gone to Craigslist, I've gone to Google, I've gone to People Finders. I even paid $25 for a report. I contacted all of his nephews, his nieces, his aunts, his cousins. Nobody knows where this guy is. I said, well, show me the property. I'm curious to see the property. So we get to the property. Property sits right below the Clarion Hotel. The piece of ground that it sits on is worth $1 million easy. You fix the house up, this thing is worth $1.5 million without even blinking an eye. Not to mention it's about 20 miles north of Facebook. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but there's some recently made millionaires from the Facebook IPO to the tune of about 1,000 of them in the Bay Area. So we go to the property, it's beautiful, and it is trashed. I mean, we are literally stepping over weeds and tumbleweeds and boards and garbage and trash. And we walk up to the door, and I did something at that moment that if you will employ this one strategy into your business, you're going to make more money than you can possibly imagine. I need you to write it down. Are you ready for it? Okay, here it is. Can I help you? Hi, sir. My name is Lee Arnold. We were looking to know if you know of any sellers in the property. We love this neighborhood. We're investors, and we're wondering if you know of anybody who's interested in selling their home. And what do you suppose he says? I'd be curious to sell my home. Really? I would have never guessed that. He's got a big billboard in front of the house that says, I hate this property. Come steal it from me, doesn't he? Now, is it a literal billboard? No. The house is trashed. Who trashes a house that they love? Nobody, okay? He wants to sell. He's not ready to sell. So Jerry, my client, has gone back to this guy continuously. He sends me a text this morning. He says, Lee, I've got another appointment with, I think his name's Roger or Richard. I said, Jerry, do not leave that house without getting a signed offer. He's like, Lee, he hasn't accepted offer. I said, I don't care, Jerry. Print out a purchase and sale agreement, put his name on it, your name on it, and go. So he goes to the property. I just got a text from him about 2 hours ago. He said, Lee, you're never going to believe this. He accepted the purchase and sale agreement. I said, well, that's great, Jerry. What's the price? Any guesses? $1.5 million property. Guess what he's paying? $525.
What?
$525.
I know where you can get a loan.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
William, you want to look at this one.
Yeah, I say I might even do 100%.
Yeah, and hope they default. Yeah, this is a loan-to-own scenario. I jest, but I'm serious, you guys. I cannot tell you the number of clients that I've gone out and worked with in the field who've spent all this money producing and creating leads. They don't mail, they don't call, they don't knock on the door, they don't follow up, and they don't write offers. And they wonder why they're not succeeding. It's really not that difficult. If I were to sit down with you in 30 seconds and ask you 3 questions, I would know immediately the status of your business. What are the 3 questions I'm going to ask?
What's your marketing plan?
How often are you mailing? How often are you calling? How many offers have you written? And I'll know exactly the status of your business. So if you would like to have a 6-figure business in the next 12 months, that's all you got to do. And if you don't believe me, I challenge you to prove me wrong. I challenge you to prove me wrong. Dale Carnegie said this, there's only one way to get anybody to do anything, and that is by making the other person want to do it. Do you want to do this? Then prove it. Stop going to seminars. Stop going, no offense, Chris, stop going to real estate investment clubs if you haven't fulfilled the basics that you have to do to be successful in real estate. And I would, Chris, will you do me a favor? The next time anybody in this room comes to your group, I want you to ask them the question. Have you sent 25 pieces of mail this week? Have you made 25 phone calls? Have you written 2 offers? And if they say no to any one of those questions, I want you to kick them out. Deal? You heard it here, folks. Don't go to his club unless you've done that. You've all committed to it.
Everybody that comes, they know I always ask how many make offers.
Okay, so some things to consider, guys. Profiling the deal. We're curious about the age of the property, the size of the property and the lot, how many bedrooms and bathrooms does it have, the condition of the property, location of the property, the absorption rate, the available equity. Also, we determine the value of the property first by a drive-by assessment, a BPO if it's out of state, eventually an appraisal. We're looking for comps. We want 1 listed comps within 1 mile of the subject property, the remainder within 5 miles of the subject property. 3 recently sold comps, 3 listed, 1 sold. Now, this is just the bare minimum. We don't buy or sell based on this information. We simply need to know if we have a deal. Now, how do we determine if we have a deal? You gave us the answers to what equity is. Give it to us again. What's equity?
The margin between what is owed and
What it's worth, okay? Now, what it's worth is a continually moving target, okay? We know what they owe. If they own 0, that's good. Now we got to know what is it worth. And you always want to err on the side of low as you're coming up with value. Also, we're looking for what is the age of the seller? When was the property purchased? What was the price paid? What is the current state of the underlying mortgage or trustee? Is the mortgage delinquent or current? And is the title free and clear? How is the title held? Has anybody ever heard of First AM? If you're talking, you're not learning. Who's heard of First AM? Anyone else? Okay, I want you to write this down. First AM. Do you have an account? It's My First AM. Do you have that? Okay. How many of you have a smartphone that you can download apps on? Okay. I want you to go in and do an app search. I want you to download My First AM. Is that right, CB? My First AM. Now you're going to need to call a title agent to get access to this, but here's what I love about this app. You type in the address of the property, and it will give you who the owner is, what their mailing address is, when they purchased the property, the amount of the mortgage that they got on the property, and the year that they got the mortgage. It will also tell you if there are any junior liens on the property. Seconds, thirds, fourths, judgment liens, tax liens, all of those good things. CB?
It will also tell you the transaction history for the previous 20 years on that property. So you can know bought, sold, foreclosed, bought, sold.
My First AM. Yeah.
And to get that app, you got to do what?
Just download it.
Download it?
You'll need to call First American Title to set up an account. The account rep has to give you access. But from there, you just go in. So when I go out and work with clients and they say, hey, I want to drive it to a property, great. We drive it to the property, I put in the house number, the street name, the zip code, poof. I know who the owner is, when they bought it, how much they owe, what the underlying mortgage is. I don't write offers blind. Okay? I know more about the property in most cases than the seller does. And the good news is it takes 30 seconds, guys, to find this information out. You just have to know where to go. Where does the seller currently live? Was there job relocation? The number one reason in 2011 to sell among home sellers aged 45 to 54, job relocation outpaced other reasons to move, with 29% of home sellers in this age group moving for a job. So, profiling the seller: was there a death in the family? Was there a divorce? Is there obvious financial strife, foreclosure, loss of job, bankruptcy? Moving to avoid possibility of foreclosure has increased from less than 1% in 2006 to 8% in 2011. Now, on this list, you are getting more lead verticals, okay? Riches and niches. Could you make a niche out of chasing homeowners that are getting divorced? And there's going to be a division of the marital assets. Yes, I wouldn't encourage it. It's a nightmare, okay? You go from property investor to counselor. Not a good niche, okay? Foreclosure, loss of job. How would you find loss of job candidates? Unemployment office, right? They're all going in there all day, everywhere. Go post an ad on the billboard that says, unemployed, losing your house, I pay cash. Message to market match. Sure, there's a public community forum right there. You can post an ad. Just a little thing, you know, put some slits in it, put your phone around, they can tear it off. It's very professional. So, tracking emotions tied to the property. Free and clear property, okay? When we identify that it's free and clear, here's the question you need to ask. How is it held? Is it held by an entity? Is it held by an individual? How a property is held tells you a lot about the person that owns the property. Are they financially savvy? Are they financially irresponsible? What's the difference? Financial irresponsible is owning real estate in your personal name when you have equity. Now what's interesting is for the VIP session that we have on Saturday, we are targeting wealthy affluents. So let's think through a list of wealthy affluents. Using real estate as our place to vet and source leads, what kind of a person owns real estate would you want to send a mail piece to about a high net worth function? Who would you think? Business owners? Doctor? Trust. What kind of properties do doctors and business owners own? Commercial property, big homes. Okay? So I went to ListSource and I said, I want a list of residential properties in this market, valued, tax assessed, between 1.5 million and 15 million. Guess how many hits I got in Spokane County? 1,100.
You're kidding.
1,100 in Spokane County. I have the list here. As I'm going through the list, 70% of them hold the property in their personal name. And at that moment I'm thinking, okay, should I really invest the time to send mailers and have this event on Saturday to procure wealthy affluents, or should I just pick any one of these properties that have no mortgage that's worth $1.5 million and go trip on the front porch? Because you do realize that this is what attorneys do, right?
Yeah.
When you go to an attorney and say, I want to sue somebody, first thing they do is look at the person's property and say, do they have equity? And if they have equity, they take the deal on contingency. I heard a statement the other day. Poor people don't pay legal fees. Poor people don't pay legal fees. Because anybody that knows what they're doing is going to take your suit, research the defendant, see if they have any assets, and take it on contingency, because they can lien every piece of property that they own. And here in Washington, in Spokane County, on wealthy affluents who own properties of $1.5 million or more, free and clear, they hold them in their personal name.
Not to mention it's community property.
Don't do that. Yeah, yeah. Don't do that, okay? So that tells you a lot about the individual that you're dealing with just by how they hold title. Now, if it's individually owned, are they single or married? This is really important, because if you're going to pursue an equity deal and they're married and there's 2 people on title, who has to sign that? 2 people. And if they're unhappily divorced, you've got to track down the other or hope that one of them has power of attorney over the other to sign on the property itself. So you need to know, how's title held? Now, if it's an entity owned, how do they hold it? Do they own it as an LLC, S Corp, or C Corp, or do they own it in a family trust? Who puts property into a family trust? William. Who puts property into a family trust? Wealthy people. Are they wealthy people who are still actively engaged in investing, or are they typically people who are looking to slow down and retire? Slow down and retire. Okay, so here's what we know based on the entity of the corp that holds the title of the property. Active investor, probably still young, youthful, doing things. Family trust, preparing to die. That was funnier this morning. Okay, here's what we want to know. What year was the property conveyed from the individual to the entity? Was it recent or was it a long time ago? Also, at what point did the LLC or the corp transfer to the trust, and has the beneficiary of the trust passed away? If they've passed away, we're now dealing with a probate deal, which means we have possible siblings involved in this. Now, here's the problem with probate. In every family, one child is rich, one child is poor.
You're right.
Yeah. How many of you have a rich sibling? And for how many of you, you are the rich sibling?
No.
Okay. So, mom and dad pass away, leave the estate to you. You got one family member that's dying to sell, and they'll take any cash offer they can get because they want money now. And then you have another sibling who's saying, no, 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 the property's worth substantially more, we're going to wait. And the hungry, broke sibling is saying, no, I want to sell. So here's how we appease them both. We write offers that have all 3 components that will appeal to any group. So we're going to write a 3-tiered or a 3-tier structured offer. Here's how you build these. It's a standard purchase and sale agreement with an addendum attached. On the addendum, you're going to put offer 1, offer 2, offer 3. Offer 1 is all cash, close in 3 days for 30 cents on the dollar of the value. So if it's worth 100, your all cash offer is 30 grand. 30 cents on the dollar, okay? 3 of you wrote that down, which means the rest of you are going to call me and say, what was that number again? It's 30 cents on the dollar is the all cash offer, okay? 40 cents on the dollar is the seller carry with a small down. So in this scenario, we're going to say, look, we will give the estate $10,000, and we would like you to carry the balance of $30,000 at 0% interest on a 40-year AM. Can't get anything you don't ask for, right? I just had a client send me a deal the other day. He got a borrower to agree to subordinate to our first mortgage on a 15-year note at a 2.38% rate. Subordinated to our first. Who would do that? Who would do that? Motivated seller. You can't get anything you don't ask for, but you got to make sure you're asking the right people for the right things. Third offer will be 50 cents on the dollar of the value. If it's a $100,000 property, this will be a $50,000 offer. Okay? But in this scenario, we're going to give them no money down. Zero, zilp, zitch, Nathan, nada. And if there's closing costs, they need to walk them in. Who would do that? Motivated seller. Okay? So we're not going to give them any cash down. We're going to ask them to carry a $50,000 mortgage on a property worth $100,000, and we're going to ask them to carry it at 0% interest with a 40-year AM. Who would do that? Motivated seller. Is this getting redundant?
No.
Okay, I'm going to keep asking until in unison you all give me the answer. So let's say that they agree to offer 3. What do we think about that? It's awesome. Why is it awesome? No money down, $50,000 mortgage, 0% interest, 40-year AM. What would you do with such a property? You don't have to go to Kogo. Seller's carrying. You don't need us. Why?
But I could go to Kogo and borrow the value and cash and take some cash out.
You could, but let me give you a better strategy. Okay? Here's what I would do. I would list the property for $100,000. It's worth $100,000, right? 99.9, 10% down. Seller will carry the remaining balance on a 30-year AM with a 5-year balloon at 9.5% interest.
I like that.
That's a cash flow.
Well, but now you arbitrage.
9% though. Who needs seller financing? Somebody who can't get bank financing. And if you can't get bank financing, 9.5 is a good rate. If you can go to the bank and get 2%, you should. But if you can't, you don't, you won't. You'll take whatever you can get if you like the property. Now let's break this down. We sell it for $99.9, we get 10% down. How much cash is that? 10 grand, we'll round it up. How much did we put down? 0. So we made $10,000 on a property, we put 0 down. What's our return on investment? Infinity. Okay? Now we've structured a debt instrument on a $89.9 note at 9.5% interest for 30 years. What's our monthly payment?
Our payment is.
Let's call it $900. All right. What is our payment to the seller? Does anybody know how to calculate the monthly payment on a $50,000 loan at 40 years at 0% interest? What is it? Okay. If we take 40 times 12, what is that? That's 480 payments. If there's no interest, what do we do now?
Divide that into 50,000.
Take 50,000 divided by 480, $104. What are they paying us? 900. So out of our 900, we got to pay the seller 104, which means we net what? $896, right? $796. Now somebody said rent. Why in the world would you want to rent? You know the problem with renting? When stuff breaks, they call you. When you lend money, when stuff breaks, who do you call? Do you? The last time your plumbing system went out, did you call your lender and say, "Hey, toilet's not flushing. Get down here," right? Do you get the CEO of Bank of America to say, "Come fix my toilet. It's not working"? No. When you own property, when you carry financing for people, if it breaks, it's on them. So in that type of a scenario, I'm writing paper. I'm not renting. Okay, I want the steady, consistent cash flows. So step 3, control equity through the contract, no offer, no deal. So let's talk strategy on short sales, equity deals, probates, estate sales for sale by owners, listed properties. You guys want to talk about it?
Yep.
Okay, done. Step 3, control equity through the contract. Putting the house under contract is easy. Simply prospect and review potential properties. Where are we getting these prospects and these properties? From our marketing. Okay? We're going to write offers to who? Motivated sellers. We're going to get offer accepted by seller by what? Following up, presenting the offers, and then we're going to purchase some money in escrow to complete the transaction. Once these 4 steps are completed, you have a fully executed purchase sale agreement. Property is under contract, and you are halfway there. What can you do with a property that you have under contract?
Wholesale it.
Wholesale it. What else can you do?
Execute it.
Go to closing and buy it.
Close it, buy it, wholesale it, leverage it, get a loan from Kogo against it. But you got to have it under contract. See, here's what drives me nuts. People walk in here and they go, "Hey, I'd like to borrow money on a piece of real estate." And we go, "Great, where is it?" "Well, I haven't found it yet." Well, then get out of here and go find it. Or they come in and say, "Hey, I've got this piece of property, I'd like a loan." "Okay, what do you have it under contract at?" "What do you mean under contract? You wrote an offer, right?" "Well, no, I needed to see if I could get the loan first." Wrong. Don't go seeking capital first. Write the offer. Money is attracted to what? Opportunity. And if you don't have it under contract, you don't have an opportunity. Because you know what someone else who's wiser than you is doing while you're out shopping for a funding source? They're writing an offer. That drives you nuts. It only has to happen once till you get really angry and you stop doing it. Okay? Write an offer. Be annoying. Be a pest. Be a constant reminder that you bring relief. Maintain communication. Listen. Go the extra mile. Offer incentives to let them know you appreciate them. Send them a cookie. Seriously. Sending food in the mail is the most euphoric thing you can do in a business setting. Send them food. I like those edible baskets, edible arrangements. Yeah. Who doesn't like pineapple on a stick? I mean, that's brilliant. Make it easy for them to work with you. Systemize your follow-up. Customer service relationship management system. Email deliverability, which can send emails, surveys, autoresponders, a website, a blog, a system to send out newsletters, reports, and webinar invites. An online marketing system to disseminate real-time information for client consumption via webinars. How many of you currently have an internal CRM system where you manage your customers and your contacts? Constant contact, okay. Anybody else? Get one. Here's the problem. You're going to spend all this money dropping mail. You're going to spend all this time making calls. You're going to spend all this time procuring customers. Who's communicating to them when you're on vacation? You need a CRM that you preset to deliver messaging so that you're constantly in front of your clients. Somebody had the audacity to come in here earlier today and say to our processor who sits at the front desk, don't you think the number of emails you sent for this thing were a little excessive? Who said that? Are you in this room? I'll kick you out. William, out.
No. Over the last 6 months, though.
What's that? We did send a lot of emails. Why would we do that?
Marketing.
What's the top line say? Be annoying, be a pest, be a constant reminder that you bring relief. The worst thing you can have in your business is to have a customer or a client or a future prospect come to you and say, I lost your number.
You're getting this because you have a relationship with Lee Arnold.
That's right. I lost your number. I'm not going to allow my clients to forget who I am. And I'm going to be in front of them and in their face every moment of every day so that when they finally decide to make a buying decision, who they coming to? Me. Now, you can be annoyed by that or you can appreciate that and say, I need to be doing that in my business. Now, the great thing is these CRMs are free, up to like 300 or 400 contacts, Constant Contact, iContact, SurveyMonkey, MailChimp. These are all free CRMs that you can use that you can set up automatic email responders, okay? Step 5, renegotiate always. You must be fully prepared to lose a good deal in order to make a great deal. Always negotiate price and terms. Negotiate price, always be the last person to name the first price, or always be the last person to name a price. The first person to name a price loses. Now, I want to pause momentarily, and I'm going to turn your screen black because you need to hear this. In negotiation, the first person to name a price loses. Please write it down. In negotiation, the first person to name a price loses. However, eventually somebody's got to name a price. Otherwise, you come to this stalemate, right? And it's really fun when you get into a room with people who are also skilled negotiators, and you're sitting there, so what do you want for that piece of property? I don't know. What do you think it's worth? I don't know. What do you need? I don't know. What do you want to pay? Right? Eventually, something's got to give. So if you do have to be the first person to name a price, always lowball. Okay? There's nothing wrong. We can learn a lot from The Price is Right. Who always got to go spin the big wheel? The person that bid $1, right? They always, $1, because everybody else was over. $1 is still an offer, okay? So offer $1. Be fact-driven, highly qualified, and ready to walk away at any time. Treat the initial offer as an opportunity to gather information about the seller's motivation for selling. Are the sellers retiring and would like to downsize? Does the seller need to make a quick move due to a sudden job change? Let their price and their reaction to your counter set the tone. So, don't counter if you can avoid it. Do not counter over the phone or over email or over fax. Counter in front of them so that you can see their emotional reaction to the counter. Because if you counter low and they're like, sweet, $1, right? Or if they're like, You're like, oh man, I got a long ways to go here to recover ground. You don't get that if you're not sitting in front of them. So the best place to negotiate is in front of your prospect. Always be firm and realistic on your price. Worst thing you can do. You throw out a price and then you trail it with a bunch of gobbledygook. I hate that, right? You know, I'm thinking I'll give you $55. Because you know, it's just not what I was hoping for. So I think $55 is fair price. But if that won't work for you, we could talk. What do you think?
Digging your own grave.
Just say the price and shut up, right? Best rule in negotiation, shut up, right? What's your offer? I'll give you $55.
Let them make the next step.
How do you feel about that? $55. I'm not making a point, I'm resting, I'm very tired. Okay, renegotiate terms. All of your offers need to contain the following: subject to third-party approval of buyer's partner clause. A partner, business partner, spouse, private money, lender, friend, pastor needs to approve the purchase. All of the contracts we write have this contingency clause. Okay, subject to partner inspection or approval. Now, those of you writing offers with Kogo as your funding source, you can make them conditioned upon lender's approval. Who's your lender? We are. Are we going to lend you money if it's a bad deal? No. The best thing you can do is make it conditioned or subject to us approving the transaction. That way, if in the rare instance that they actually accept your offer, you have an out. Okay? You want to know why most people, why most investors don't write offers? Number one reason? They're afraid they'll accept it. Isn't that silly? I would write you an offer, but I'm afraid you might say yes. So I'm not going to go there. True. Refundable clause. Put an exploratory or investigative period of 10 to 30 days to perform inspections and appraisals to determine if you would like to move forward. In this case, if you don't like something, cracked foundation, water damage, mold, termites, then you can back out and get a full refund of your earnest money. I want you to add into all of your purchase and sale agreements that it is subject to an interior inspection by a licensed, bonded inspection company. Okay? Now, do we order inspections because we really want to know what's going on in the property? No, guys, any one of these deals, if you're buying REOs or short sales from any lender, they are as is. Okay? As is, without representation as to warranty or title. What you see is what you get, and if there's a problem, don't call. That's typically what you're buying when you're buying investment property. The reason we get a property inspection is they crawl all over that house. And they bring you really scary pictures. And what are those great for? Renegotiation, okay? It's subject to that. So we get this thing back and it's got mold. Hey, would anybody ever buy a house with mold? Are you all aware that right now your home has mold? Statistically, 100% of all real estate has mold in it. You want to know why? Because they have a shower and they have a kitchen sink. And they'll have mold. But it's not the toxic mold, right? And if you can get a house with toxic mold, that's like cream of the crop. That is sweet, right? Because they freak out. You want to know my favorite house, and it's one of the reasons I moved to Washington? Spokane is one of the highest meth production counties in the entire state. I love meth. Houses. I love meth houses, right? I love houses where they have cooked, manufactured, or sold meth in there. You want to know why? Freaks everybody out. Now, if you want to know how to detect meth, go get a can of Niagara spray starch, and when you're inspecting the property, just spray it on the wall. And if it turns pink, there's been meth in the property. Pretty simple, okay? The chemicals mix, if it turns pink, you got a meth house. Order a property inspection, use it as negotiation. So now we've written the offer for $100,000, we get the property inspection report, meth! You just got the house for 30 grand, okay? Step 6, apply for funding. Where do you get your funding? Kogo! When the banks say no, call capital.com. Okay, go there, fill out your application. Now, step 7 is strategy on your closing. Okay, there are certain times within a month that you close on the property. If you are buying multifamily or tenant-occupied pieces of real estate, you close on the 3rd, the 4th, or the 5th of the month. When are rents due? On the 1st. And who owns the rents when you close on the 3rd? You do. So if you're buying a commercial property or an apartment complex that has $50,000 a month in rents, and you close on the 3rd, you are entitled to the remaining 27 days of those rents, which means you just inherited a $44,000 down payment to your purchase price by closing early in the month. Now, if you're selling the same property, when do you close? On the last day of the month. Because who's now responsible to collect the rents next month? They are. Okay? So knowing when and how to close is important. Now, I talked to you earlier about knowing who the seller is. If the seller is older, a senior citizen, bless you, know that fast closings don't entice them.
No.
They scare them. So if you've got an older seller, write longer offers. Now you can qualify it by asking them, what would you rather have? I can close as soon as next Friday if you would like, or I can close in 90 days if that would be more favorable for you. Guess what they're going to choose? 90 days. Now here's the reality of it, guys. You should always extend your closings as far out as you possibly can. Why? Gives you the most options, gives you the most time to market. If your strategy is to wholesale, it gives you time to find a tenant before you close on it. Because when you close on it, you're agreeing to make monthly payments. If I can get you to agree to a 6-month contract deadline, I got 6 months that I control your real estate. You can't do anything with it, and I'm carrying it on your dime. So why in the world would I be in a big hurry to close? I'm not. Negotiate as long as you can. It was funny. I used to negotiate a lot of short sales. At one time, my company had over 300 short sales that we were negotiating at one time. That's a lot of short sales. And the banks kept coming back to us. They were agreeing to our offers, and they were saying, you need to close by Friday, or we're going to charge you $50 a day. So I ran the math, and I said, $50 a day is 6.5% interest. If I close this now and have to borrow hard money, I'm paying 15% interest. 6.5 sounds better. So I said, all right, find me. And I would wait 30, 60, 90 days. Bank's calling me, hey, you need to close. No, I just need to pay your $50 a day fee. And I would just push it out as long as I possibly can. I was controlling the real estate on the bank's dime at 6.5% interest. That's cheap money, okay? So you guys got to think through the pros and the cons of knowing when to close. So in review, 7 steps to a 7-figure income in real estate. Number 1, create consistent and steady lead flow. 2, get your message to market. Who is your market? There are riches and niches. Identify your niche, identify your message, identify your lead source, craft your mailer, drop it. Okay? 3, control equity by controlling the deal. Write the offer. You can't do anything until the offer's written. 4, follow up a lot. 5, renegotiate everything. 6, apply for funding from where? I didn't hear you. Apply for funding from where? There you go. And 7, close and determine which method to use. Strategize through the settlement, all the way through the settlement. And if you can push closings out, you absolutely should. And as a thanks for being here tonight, guys, I'm going to send you this presentation, the video of this presentation, because we filmed it, as well as an ebook called The 7 Steps to 7 Figures, which has all of these notes and the written explanation of each. However, you need to go to cococapital.com, register, and we will email it to you from there. Does anybody want this presentation or this information? Yes. Okay, good. It's going to be on cococapital.com, so make sure that you go there and get it. Now, given the time, rather than open this up for questions, what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to break, because I know some of you need to get to bed, right? If you want to hang out, we've got refreshments over here. We'd love to hang out and chat with you, answer any questions that you might have. So with that, we're going to break. Thank you all for coming here tonight. Did you learn anything? All right.